Hey there, troopers. This is Random Game Channel, and I'm back with another gameplay tips video. This time, I'm going to present to you a field manual, your position on the battlefield. So if you've seen some of my other stuff before, I'm not really high-tech here. I do a lot of stuff that's janky, low budget, and just present to you the information. No thrills, no frills. Alright, so your position on the battlefield and why does it matter? I'm going to take you through each of the classes that we currently have in the game. Like I said, it's janky, right? But it's good enough for me to present the ideas and theories that I have in my head to you, the community. So the first one is going to be Guardian. Now with the Guardian and with all the rest of these classes, I have a bunch of scenarios and I'll go through each one of them. So I have a key up here. Triangles will represent bugs. Squares will represent other troopers. Circle is you. And then this one, a diamond is the objective. Okay, so scenario 1. So imagine that this is a base, and all of a sudden, you're defending the base and then there's a breach, right? Now, typically, people would be on top of the walls and on top of these bunkers, right? And the bugs would just pour in. But you as the Guardian, you have the capability to literally plug the hole up with your body. So it works best if you have a couple of troopers to help provide cover fire for you so you don't get overwhelmed. But the idea is that when the base is breached, bugs are coming in, you go into the hole, and as soon as the bugs get close to you within probably like 2 meters, activate your class ability with that shield wall thing. It'll knock the bugs back, it'll stun them, and then from there you and the team can proceed to kill the bugs, and hopefully at the same time someone can help repair the blown up structure here. So that's scenario 1. Scenario 2. Imagine that you're just in the open field and you just encounter an ambush. So what happens is that you want to take the brunt of the assault, let the bugs come to you, activate your shield wall, stun them and knock them back, and then you and your team can eradicate the ambush. So remember, as the Guardian, you're kind of like this tanky trooper. You can take some hits. So your objective is to draw the attention to you. Alright. Scenario number 3. So imagine that you're trying to defend this objective here. You got a couple pieces of terrain. You and 2 troopers can kind of hold off one side and the rest of the fire team can hold off the bugs on the other side. So the idea is that you can leave a large part of the team to handle one side of the defense, and you and just a couple other troopers can defend the other side. So again, the idea is that you want to create a wall between you and the other troopers, because the other troopers are obviously going to be a little squishy, right? Especially like engineers and medics and whatnot, right? So do your best to try to position yourself ahead of the other troopers. You want to be on the front lines because you're most likely going to be equipping the regenerative matrix perk thing, where it's like extra health bar. You got your class ability shield wall. You can have your deployable mini shields, shield walls, and that'll help you plug up the defenses in whatever position you are in. All right. Moving on to scenario number 4. So what this is that, imagine that this troop right here, they're downed and they need to be revived. Normally, when the person is surrounded by bugs, no one can really get to them unless there's a medic and they send a medical UAV drone to revive that trooper right here. If that's not available, then you yourself can go in there, drop yourself right on top of them, and then deploy your class ability shield wall. That'll drive the bugs back, stun them, and that'll give you enough time to revive the trooper that got downed. So that's a pretty fairly common tactic that a lot of Guardians use, and it's pretty effective. Just know that the bugs are only going to be stunned for a few seconds, so whoever this trooper is, you want to provide them cover fire so they can retreat to a better position. Okay, scenario number 5. Alright, so this scenario can apply to like any regular old warrior, but what you can also do is that, again, this is going to be using your class ability shield wall. If, for example, a tiger or a guardian, or not a guardian, a royal guard, I should say, is just walking right up towards you, and they're going to take a big bite out of you. Activate your class ability shield wall, knock those big bugs back, and then just let it rip and shoot them till they die. So for this one, you can pretty much do that anywhere on the battlefield. Just make sure you don't get too far away from the fire team, because you can still die. The tank isn't or the Guardian isn't this invulnerable tank. They do go down eventually. So that's it for the Guardian. I'm going to try to keep these short as possible. Engineer. So this one's a little more involved. So same thing, triangles are bugs, squares are troopers, circle is you, the X is a twin MG, diamond is the objective, the dot is the proximity mine, and the circle with a dot inside of it is a shock beacon. Okay, so scenario number 1. Just take, for example, if you're in an open field, which is a very bad position to be in, but you're kind of just on your own and no one else is really next to you, what you can do is use your class ability to create a twin MG and start mowing the bugs down, taking as much of them down with you as possible so that the other team can have an easier time to clean them up and revive you. Now this can also be done if you're on like a structure or like a fixed elevated piece of terrain, like a large rock, or in some cases you can build them on top of like broken down walls and trucks. That's a great position to be in, and oftentimes you want to try to find those things. That way, if your team is like defending an objective, like a beacon or a point capture zone, you can lay down some serious firepower with a twin MG. Now, the only thing though you got to keep in mind is that you need to have room for the ammo stockpile because sometimes you might be there for a while and going through 300 rounds can go pretty fast, especially if there's a lot of bugs. Okay. Scenario number 2. So imagine that you're in the field, you've got this objective you want to defend, Archie is coming in, you have your team here. So if there is time to prepare, you can lay down some proximity mines, or you can create a wall of shock beacons here, which will create an electric fence. Now, ideally, you want to position the shock beacon so that you can get 360 degrees coverage. That way, your backside and your sides aren't going to get nipped on by Archie. Okay, and then to further defend this position, you can also build the twin MG and just shoot the bugs as they come in. Keep in mind that with the proximity mine, it's going to take a few seconds to arm, and I believe it'll only trigger if any warrior or larger sized bug walks next to it. And with that, I need to get a cough drop because my throat's super dry. Excuse me just a moment. And I get some water too. Okay. So scenario number 3. So just imagine Archie's coming in again. Your team has formed a line of defense here, and you got an objective here. So the fire team can take care of these bugs, but what if you're kind of surrounded on this side with some more of the bugs coming in? Well, the thing that you can do is place down shock beacons along the perimeter here, and you and a couple of other troopers can do suppressive fire this direction here. Now, if you want to fortify this position more, you can build short walls. You can place proximity mines. Just keep the proximity mines a little further away from your shock beacons because they can blow them up. Okay. Scenario number 4. So this one doesn't really involve any kind of building or placement of proximity mines and shock beacons. Just imagine that you're in an open field again and you've encountered an ambush. Your class ability's on cooldown. You don't have any more proximity mines. You don't have any more shock beacons. So the thing you want to do, you want to be a little bit of a chicken. You want to fight behind the other troopers. The reason why I say this is because out of all the classes, the engineer and the sniper are pretty squishy. The ranger has the ability to heal themselves. The guardian has an immense amount of health, and the medic, although it is squishy, they can self-revive if they have drone charges available to them. But with the engineer, he ain't got nothing. Nada. So, don't be a hero. Don't be like Rambo. Don't fight on the front line here. Because that's what happened to, what was his name? Shijumi in the first movie. got a little gung ho, and then, well, he died because he got ahead of the firing line. So don't be like him. Place yourself behind the other troopers, because you're probably going to get slurped if you're in the front. Even more important to keep this in mind because with the way that the weapon unlocks have been restructured for 1.0 release, is that they start you off with a flamethrower. That thing has an incredibly short range, takes forever to kill a bug, doesn't stun, doesn't stagger. You set something on fire, it's going to keep running at you. So play it safe. Don't be too aggressive. You can start to change things up a little bit once you unlock the shotgun and the Morita, because at that point you have something that can actually stop a bug at close range, whereas the flamethrower, you can set stuff on fire, but it's still going to try to eat you without any real resistance. Okay, so takeaway: fight behind the line of fire. Scenario number 5. So this one is going to involve building some short walls. I like to call these little barricades either a barricade or a cheval de frise, which is basically the structure that's designed to limit any kind of forward momentum on the field. Typically, from what I understand, it's like been used to, in the olden times, halt cavalry charges, because these are usually like a simple fence with spiky spears on them. But then as things evolved, it'd be like those tank traps, barbed wire fences with more tank traps in them. So that's the idea of what this is doing. Build some short walls in some kind of manner like this. You can build it in a T formation, or you can have it as a staggered line. This is going to kind of interfere with the bugs pathing. So sometimes they'll go for the front row, sometimes they'll go for the back row. But as they're trying to figure this out, you and your team can just wail on them, just shoot them until they expire. Okay. So that's 5 scenarios, 5 different positions that you can take on the battlefield as an engineer. Here's where we get a little more spicy, because these are the classes I like to play as. So the Ranger. So again, triangle is bugs, square is troopers, the circle is you, the circle with a dot in it, that's the scan beacon. Okay. So scenario number 1 is going to be when you're in an open field and you're encountering an ambush, or you're expecting to encounter an ambush. The team has kind of formed a staggered line. What you should be doing as a ranger, use your jump jets, place down scan beacons along the fire line here. That way, any bugs that's coming in, they'll be scanned and they'll take additional damage. So, with a ranger, you're a scout, but also you're a debuff kind of class, because you have a lot of gadgets that can increase the amount of damage that the bugs can take when they're scanned. So just, jump jet around the line. You can shoot while you're jump jetting, and just do your best to provide fire support where you can. Alright, so scenario number 2. Imagine that you're in the space, right? So what you want to do is you kind of want to patrol the base. So I got a lot of activity on my Steam. I forgot to turn it off. If you can hear all that, getting a lot of notifications. But anyways, when you're in a base scenario, like for example, you're in the base defense portion of the game on Advanced Secure, Horde, and Arc, you want to literally just take a lap around the base. Plop down your scan beacons at key vital locations. What do I mean by that? So recently I found out that gates no longer really attract the attention of the bugs, but let's just imagine they still did, right? So you want to plop down a scan beacon next to a gate, jump jet around to like a bunker, because bunkers are where you're typically going to see a lot of action, right? You're typically going to place these in parts of the base where you expect to have the heaviest combat situations. So plop one down at the bunker, move on, find another spot that you think can be used for a good scan beacon location. It could be another bunker. It could be a kill zone that the team set up. So, make your rounds and patrol the base. Of course, you can fight at the same time. You're not always going to need to drop scan beacons. But again, remember your role as a ranger is kind of like debuff the arachnids. Let them get scanned so your team can kill them a little easier. Scenario number 3. Let's just imagine that you're surrounded by the arachnids. You're cut off from the team after or before you're doing your scouting run. You can sometimes find yourselves in these positions when you're trying to place a scan beacon at a very far away location from the team. People typically do that as like an early warning system to let the team know that, like, hey, bugs are coming in from this position, turn your guns that way. Other times, you'll be going out to a location where other troopers can't really reach, for example, a grenadier and an inferno. In your journey to those elite bugs or back from them, you might encounter a pack of warriors. So if you are in the situation, jump jet out of there and then jump jet again, because you want to put as much distance between you and the bugs as possible, because even 2 or 3 of them can easily kill you. So get out of there as fast as you can. You can jump jet away, turn around, shoot the bugs, and jump jet backwards. So employ that tactic to increase your chances of making it back to the team alive. Scenario number 4. Say, for example, that the bugs are coming in this direction. The team has formed a fire line here to defend this objective. And this is kind of like in an open field. But you notice, as the action is taking place, a grenadier or an inferno bug is lighting up your position pretty bad. So if you don't do anything, your whole team's going to get wiped. So what you need to do in that kind of situation is where you kind of need to put yourself in a vulnerable position. What do I mean by that? What you need to do is find a route around or through the bugs so that you can jump jet next to the grenadier or inferno, and you use your high-X grenade and stick them with that grenade. They should die in one hit if you are able to stick the high-X grenade on any part of their body. So that'll do a one-hit kill. They'll die, and then try to return to your team. If that's not possible, try to find elevated terrain that you can stand on top of, or you keep jump jetting around the battlefield until everything's dead. So that's a really important skill that I believe you should develop. And you're going to have a really high level of environmental awareness, especially in scenario number 4. Because sometimes if you have a sniper in your team, they probably don't see it for several reasons. Either they're concentrating on a different target, they're concentrating on something close to the team, or they just might not even have an angle on the bug. Like they can see it, but when they aim down sight, they just don't have a clean shot to them. So those are just some things you need to be aware of, and this is something I believe that all Rangers should try to do to the best of their ability. Of course, I'll let you know, I'm not that good at, jumping around the battlefield like that. So that's something I'm always working on. But I've seen other people do this more effectively than me, and it's worked for them time and time again. Take for instance, my buddy Mezzy. Mezzy is really great at playing the Ranger, and when they see themselves in this kind of scenario, they do go out of their way to eradicate these kind of bugs. They're like super far away. And he does so with high proficiency. So those are the 4 scenarios for the Ranger. The Demolisher, my second most favorite class, or I should say my third, because I think there's the snipers after this. Let me just get some more water here. I swear, don't matter how many times I talk or don't talk in a day, as soon as I do these videos, my throat gets super dry. It's like really hard for me to talk. Okay, the Demolisher. So again, the key is triangles are bugs, squares are other troopers, the circle is you. However, this time, the square with a dot in it is the nuclear det pack, and the circle with a dot in it is a demo charge. Okay, so scenario number 1. Just imagine you're encountering a patrol or you in an ambush, and the teams kind of naturally, teams naturally form a firing line, right? So what you want to do is that you can either use your class ability, grenade launcher, to soften up the front line of the bug and then retreat. Or you can use your regular grenades in conjunction or in combination with your grenade launcher or the class ability grenade launcher. By the time you unload on them, the bugs are going to be getting a little bit closer and you're reloading. So, just retreat behind the wall of troopers here and let them take care of the rest of the bugs. So, Demolisher is also a little squishy as well, but they do have some ways to kind of fight the bugs when they get close. Like, for example, you equip the servo perk thing. That'll allow you to punch a bug in the face and knock them back, similar to how the Guardian can do that with their class ability, the shield wall. So I think by default with the 1.0 release, the Demolisher is equipped with a grenade launcher at level 1. And it takes a little while to reload it. You get 6 shots. So you don't want to be caught in the front of this line here when the arachnids finally make contact with the troopers. So take your shots and get back. Scenario number 2. Okay. So with this one, what's happening is that you have the objective that you're trying to defend. You're in this kind of like hallway kind of scenario, or in this corridor. So you notice that the bugs are coming in this direction. You plant your demo charges here, and once they get close enough, you detonate them. So you and a couple other troopers can, kind of easily defend this position here, and then the rest of the team can fire in this direction if bugs are coming in this way. So with the Demolisher, you can set traps for the bugs. You just need a little bit of prep time because it takes a few seconds for the Demolisher to place the demo charges, and the same thing goes for the nuke, det pack. But with a nuke det pack, not only does it take a few seconds to place it on the field, it takes another about 10 seconds for it to detonate. So you need to kind of work on the timing, which we'll go over here in scenario number 4. Okay, so scenario number 3, which we kind of mentioned in here. So take, for example, you're stuck reloading your weapon and you're not going to reload it in time. Bug is coming at you, and if you happen to have that servo perk equipped, the one that you can like punch bugs in the face, make use of it. Punch the bug in the face because it's going to send them flying. And I've seen people do this to kind of push away tigers and grenadiers. Punch them in the face and they'll go backwards. Make use of that. Buy yourself the time to reload or retreat to a better position. Scenario number 4. This one's going to involve the nuclear det pack. So what I've come to realize is that you need about 12 seconds total in order for you to successfully get some kills with this damn thing. About 2-3 seconds to arm it, and then another 10 seconds to just let it explode because it's on a timer. So you need to gauge the distance between when the bugs come in and when they'll be in range for this thing to detonate in time. Oops, I clicked the mouse button. So I figured you need about 12 seconds before the bugs make contact with your current position, and you need to get out of there. So work on that. You might need to do this a few times. don't give up on it. Don't feel frustrated. It's totally natural to feel that for using the nuclear jetpack, because this thing's a little hard to gauge at first. But once you can kind of master that, oh man, you can start getting some really cool kills with that thing. Alright, so scenario number 5. The best place to be when you're in the open field and you're encountering an ambush, you want to be in the middle. You don't want to be in the front. You don't want to be in the back. You want to be in the middle. Because just like the engineer, it don't take too much for the Demolisher to go down. So provide covering fire where you can with your weapons, your class ability grenade launcher, and even depending on what grenade you use, like for example a lure grenade, you can even have the bugs go in a completely different direction because they'll be attracted to it. So yeah, there you go. That's 5 scenarios, 5 different positions that you should consider when you're in the field. The sniper. This one's a little more simple. Triangle is the bugs, square is other troopers, and the circle is you. Scenario number 1. Ideally, if you're in an open field, you want to find some kind of elevated terrain. Not only to give you a better angle to shoot bugs at, and to, if you have the perk equipped, the one where like you can deal X amount of extra damage depending on the height that you're at. It also keeps bugs away from you, especially if they can't scale the walls to wherever you're at. So best pieces of terrain on Velaka are any kind of like broken down wall, a cliff, ideally one that is not accessible to other bugs, and other low-lying structures like a shipping container. Those are really great places to set up shop. So with scenario 1, the troopers are encountering some bugs here. You on your little sniper's nest will eradicate them. Okay, your job isn't to be in the front line. Your job isn't to be in the middle. Your job is to find somewhere safe, unscalable position. So, in you and your sniper's nest, you'll be punching holes in the bugs from a safe position. You don't want to be in the front lines of the rest of the troopers because if you have the XXX sniper rifle, that's going to be really hard to kind of like hip fire that thing, and it's bolt action, so you're not going to get a lot of shots off. So your best case here is to find some kind of elevated terrain. Okay. Scenario number 2. Same thing, like you're in an open field. Troopers have formed a staggered line. Bugs are coming in. However, you don't have any kind of elevated terrain. So what are you going to do? Fight at the back. That way, if these troopers die, you have time to get out of there and do your best to shoot the bugs. But coming back to scenario number 1 for finding best elevated terrain, I forgot to mention Agni Prime, X11, and Boreas. So Agni Prime, sometimes there'll be some shipping containers, trucks, other vehicles like excavators. Like you get those also on Velaka. You don't see too many structures out there on Agni Prime that you can jump on top of. And depending on where you're at, you'll also be able to jump jet onto a sheer cliff where no bugs are going to be able to reach you. The only thing you're going to need to watch out for is like gunners, infernos, and grenadiers. Okay. X11, if you're not finding inside a tunnel, you want to find, I think the only open place in the open air is going to be a bunch of structures. So the central tower is the best place. There's going to be a couple of, like, I think shipping containers, excavators, maybe a couple buildings. So set up shop on top of those things. Now with Boreas, there's no real good position for the sniper. There's no elevated terrain that you can really stay on top of without being harassed by the bugs. Because everything, they designed the map where like everything is kind of like reachable by the bug. There's no good sniper perch that you can really jump on top of. So just fight carefully and position yourself behind the front line. Just do your best to survive until you can get to the base building phase of the game. So moving on to scenario number 3. This one is where you're kind of like defending a fixed position, or even you're in a base defense mode, right? So with scenario number 3, bugs are coming in, troopers are fighting, right? But then all of a sudden you see like something like a gunner, grenadier, or inferno. You're here in your sniper's nest. So what you want to do, you've already positioned yourself to kind of camp, right? So don't worry about any bugs close to the troopers. Let them handle it. What you want to do is concentrate on the long range bugs, because the other troopers aren't going to be able to really reach out and hit these bugs. Their job is to take care of anything that's close to their position. So you're probably wondering, how should I prioritize these bugs? Now, depending on who you talk to, they might say other things, but for me, I personally like going after gunners first. Why? Some people have gotten mad at me for doing this. So let me explain why. So with a gunner, they can shoot real fast, they're pretty accurate, and with the launch into 1.0 version of the game, the version that everybody can play now, I find that they're even more accurate and they're like even more aggressive in targeting troopers. Like, they were pretty deadly before, but now they're like super deadly. So in a short wall, that little firing hole that's in the center of that wall, they can shoot through that now. So that's just how accurate they've become. So that's why I like going after the gunners first. It doesn't take very long for them to, kill a trooper. So after gunners are gone, I go after the Inferno, because the Inferno, when that fireball explodes, it denies a small area of the field to the troopers, and the damage that the fire inflicts on people persists for a few seconds. Now, the last one you want to go after is the Grenadier. It shoots slow, just like the Inferno, but with the Grenadier, you can get out of the way, and once the plasma orb detonates on its intended target, you can just return to that position. It's not going to have any kind of lingering effect. So that's why I like saving the Grenadiers for last whenever I can, because they don't deny parts of the field like the Inferno can. So that's my spiel. Scenario number 4. Okay, so you've gotten cut off by the bugs, the team is far away, and you're just by yourself. What do? You happen to be next to some kind of elevated terrain. Use your jump jet to get on top of it. Don't bother trying to mantle, because sometimes if you're too slow, the bugs are going to kill you. So just use your jump jet, and then hopefully you're in a position where you can kind of survive until the team can get to you. Okay, so moving into scenario number 5. So in this scenario, this is more about how to deal with Grenadiers and Infernos that are actively trying to shoot at you. Alright, so imagine that you have these two pieces of elevated terrain, and you see that they're going to shoot at your current position. So what you want to do is get out of there, reposition to this other location, use your jump jet wherever you need to get over there, and you start punching holes into them. And most likely they're not going to die in 2-3 shots. So what you want to do is keep an eye on how they're tracking you. If in this new position that you're in, they start shooting at you, just go back to this position over here where you were originally. That way you can kind of play dodgeball with these bugs, and with enough time you should be able to eradicate those bugs. Okay, so that's 5 scenarios, 5 battlefield positions that I believe everybody should kind of study up on. Moving on to the medic, my favorite class. This one, I got a little too crazy with the drawings. I got a little too excited with some of these. Why? Because it's my favorite class. Alright, so again, triangles are bugs, squares are other troopers, circles are you, and diamonds are the objective. Alright, scenario number 1. So let's just take, for example, you've encountered a patrol or an ambush. Naturally, the team will form a firing line, and you as a medic, you do not want to be in this front line. You do not want to be part of that action. You do not want to be the hero of the Federation. You want to hang back. Be a bit of a chicken. I know, it's not the most exciting thing you want to hear, but I strongly encourage people to not fight on the front, because what if you go down and you have no drone charges to revive you, and the team has no capability to revive you because the combat action is really heavy? There goes the medic, right? The medic dies. What if you're the only medic on the team, which can and has happened? So bugs start munching on people, troopers start dying. So in that kind of situation, you kind of failed as a medic and where you're positioning yourself on the battlefield. As a medic, you want to be behind all the action. That way you can heal and revive people. Don't worry about the combat. You let the other troopers handle that. Your primary role is to heal and revive people. Scenario number 2. Well, you're just completely surrounded, and the troopers have formed a circle. You want to be in the middle of that circle. You want to be in the middle of the donut, essentially. You want to be the donut hole. So, why do you want to be in that position? Well, you don't want to be on the periphery of this perimeter that the troopers have set up. Try to place yourself in the middle as best as you can, because again, you want to heal and revive troopers, and this way, if you're in the center, you can kind of provide fire support where you can. And when you're in the scenario where you're surrounded, you need to kind of work on your environmental awareness. Pivot, around in a circle. Make sure everyone is topped off on their health, and then you revive people as they go down. So just try your best in this situation to survive, and make sure you keep everyone else alive. Scenario number 3. Okay, so this applies to when you're actually moving up the field and say like an open field, right? There's 3 positions that you can take in this kind of scenario. As the team is moving forward, you want to either be on the left side, the middle, or the right side, but you want to be in the back. You don't want to be anywhere near the front, or try not to be in the front, because ideally the idea here is that you're going to the bugs, so you don't want to get caught up in that front line where a lot of the shooting is going to take place. So the danger about being in the back, scenario 3, scenario 1, is that sometimes an ambush can pop up here. In those situations, you want to default to scenario number 2. Put yourself in the middle as best as you can. That way, you don't die. The other troopers can go down, but you yourself as a medic can't, because you as the medic have the best equipment to revive and heal troopers instantaneous speed. Alright, so keep that in mind. Scenario number 4. Alright, so in this one you're on this elevated terrain, or you're in a base defense mode. The bugs are coming in, and naturally, again, the troopers have formed this firing line. You don't want to put yourself in the front again. Why? Because sometimes there's going to be gunner bugs, infernos, and grenadiers. If you clump yourself into a cluster with the other troopers, and for example, an inferno shoots at your position, it can easily wipe out a whole squad. And if you're in that spot, you're going down too. And if you're even more unlucky, you have no more drone charges, you're just going to perish. Same thing with a grenadier. That can one hit kill a lot of people if it's in like a close proximity. So just take a chill pill, take a position in your rear, and just kind of manage the team. Heal them up and revive them as needed. And of course, you can fight as well, but that's your secondary objective as a medic. Scenario number 5. You're in this fixed position in this kind of corridor scenario, and you're defending an objective. Bugs are coming in two separate directions. Naturally, again, the team forms the firing line. Do not get caught up in the front of these firing lines, because there's nowhere else for troopers to run to if the combat situation gets really heavy. So what you need to do is position yourself behind these lines, make sure you keep their health up, and you revive anybody that goes down, because in this situation, you have nowhere else to go, which you can find yourself in sometimes. Sometimes you just naturally get boxed in by where the objective is placed in the game, right? So do your best to mind and support the troopers. And another thing you should keep an eye out on is the objective itself. Sometimes it's going to be the objective where you need to repair the generator. You should be minding that as well. So with a medic, you're going to be doing a lot of like juggling, right? So that's kind of like why I really like this role in this class. You got to manage the troopers, their health. You got to really manage where you're at. And you got to make sure you keep everyone who's downed, revived. So you got a lot of things to juggle. It's a nice little mini game that you got to play in the game. So I find it really interesting, and I just have a really good time playing in that kind of situation. Keeps me really engaged with what's going on. And also it's a very rewarding experience as well. But that's it, troopers. This one actually was pretty long. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, that's just been Random Game Channel. If you really like this content where I make tips and stuff, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate it. It goes a long way to help me reach my monetization goals. And if things work out, maybe I can do this full time. Right? Isn't that the dream? But anyways, it's okay if you don't want to do that too. Perfectly okay. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the field, troopers.